Everyone, welcome for watching. I'm here with Alaa-Eddine. He's the VP of Engineering at SmythOS, and myself, Alexander de Ritter, CTO at SmythOS and co-founder. You may have been aware, unless you lived under an undersea rock, you may have seen the little crustacean, the crab figure. I'm, of course, referring to OpenClaw. And in this video, I want to share a dialogue with me and Alaa-Eddine about this topic, what our perspectives are, what our insights are. And I think you're going to find many of the insights useful. Let's begin with the start. Alaa-Eddine, what was your first reaction when you found out about this project?
Well, it was like initially I was like excited, then I installed it, started trying, and it was like, oh, this is like complicated to install. And then it was like, oh, wait, I need to go to terminal and figure out how it works, API keys, because I installed it like an early version. And then it was like, oh, wait, now it can go on the web and it can like even share information with other agent and so forth. Wait, this is like a security nightmare. Like it's like a mix of excitement, but also concern about like the number of people who will install this without enough knowledge about security and what they are exposing over there. Let alone all the hackers and others who will use this opportunity to inject prompts or scripts in these machines that can become zombies later for like, large level attacks and so forth. So yeah.
My reaction was more like, she loves me not. Should I buy a Mac Mini? Should I not? And it was like, I don't really need one, but I want one. And there's no way this is touching my main machine, that's for sure. And when it came to VPS providers, there's a lot of them that have like known ports open and so forth. And I wanted to avoid having to spend several days on DevOps hardening a server as well. So my thought, though, was a little bit different. My first reaction was not, let's go and install it. My first reaction was, how will this like make not just working with one agent possible, but make agent swarms possible? Because if one bot can work with another bot, then they can collaborate and do much more interesting things, right? In the very beginning of SmythOS years ago, we had conversations about this. And I recall the soldier ant. And can you tell the audience about that?
Yeah, so before even OpenAI released the first version that can run functions, we made a prototype that was actually running functions using GPT-3 or 3.5. I don't remember exactly the version. And the idea that came to our mind immediately, like, what if we have agents that can run like ants, like small agents, specialized tasks, and they collaborate massively to solve problems? What if we give these agents access to a real computer? What if these agents can have like SSH access or sandbox access, what they can do? Because our initial experiments showed that the moment an agent can call a function, it can execute something. It can execute something in your computer and do tasks just like a human. And then, like, OpenAI came with function calling, and the rest of the story. But yeah, it was really exciting to see the potential and like everything that OpenClaw is like enabling today. We've seen it coming maybe 3 years ago, Maybe the technology was still not ready. Maybe the LLMs was not as good as today. But yeah, the potential was already there.
Right. So I've must have given 15 keynotes since that first conversation we had about agent swarms and working together as a hive mind and everything. And I think the principal idea, that was quite a big idea over 3 years ago, was that we don't need to see Skynet as this monolithic super brain, but rather see it as an internet of agents collaborating and joining humanity as a superorganism. To all the people that have come to watch me give these keynotes and talk about it over the years, I'm sure that when you see Moltbook, the social network for these agents, and they all collaborate and post, you can kind of see you can kind of start seeing that coming to action. The other thing I think is super fascinating is that overnight, there have been so many startups that have launched a GitHub for agents, a social network for agents, email services for agents. And so it's almost, this is what last week has felt like to me. It felt like the birth of the internet.
Yeah.
Where there was no proper Amazon, and there was no proper Gmail, and there was no Salesforce and Figma, and all the tools that have launched in the last week are very, very, like, I would say, bare bones designed.
Yeah.
But it's an onslaught of new services that just like pop up. And I can easily imagine that some of these are going to be unicorns in the future. What are some that you've seen?
You also said something, Alexander, in another conversation. You told me there were a before and after OpenAI, and there will be a before and after OpenClaw. Not because before and after ChatGPT, sorry, and there will be a before and after OpenClaw. Not because like ChatGPT will be the only chat system, but like ChatGPT is the first time that humanity can talk to an AI, and now it's the first time that we can ask something to an agent and it just work on it for several hours. So it's really exciting. Maybe it tells us more about human nature and what people want from AI than like the technology itself. But it's really exciting to follow what's coming, like besides the security problems and others that we can discuss. Yeah.
A small note to self, and I think this is useful for everyone who is here listening and watching. OpenAI last year started making a big deal in the benchmarks about how long their agent can run to do useful work. Remember that?
Yeah.
That's a few months ago. One thing you need to understand is that the next version of GPT and Claude and everything already exists or is being trained on these companies' computers, and that people who work there are giving clues in what they're seeing. So what we're watching today is, what we're witnessing today is it's like the fruits coming to bear, the trees bearing LLMs, companies bearing fruit of the things that they talked about last year. Because then they said that this stuff last year, and everybody was like, okay, cute. I guess it can do deep research for 3 hours now and then write a report. Because this is what people were relating to their personal experience. But few people were thinking that it would be something like the new OpenAI Codex app for Mac that you can give work to and then come back 2 days later and it's maybe still working, or it finished a whole series of complex things. That's an important note to self. So what kind of sites have you seen pop up Alaa-Eddine, that are really the beginnings of the Internet of Agents, sites that are made for agents?
Well, to be honest, it was like influenced by the hypes. I saw the Malt book. I saw someone who tried to make something like a Trello for agents. I saw someone who made like this was like a GitHub, or I don't know the name exactly, but a GitHub for these agents. So it's like we are replicating all the technologies that we built for humans, but people are making them for agents. Now, there were also some attempts by multiple big companies, to build payment system and so forth for agents. So I can imagine when these agents start using these systems and making transactions between themselves, like it will be exciting. And what's exciting me a lot about OpenClaw is there were many innovations and so forth in labs because the companies need to mature them before releasing them. And now OpenClaw is shaking the market and pushing everyone to release all their technologies. So the next weeks will be very exciting because we will see new models from OpenAI, Sonnet, and others. And this will be very interesting in the AI ecosystem. You're muted, Alexander.
That's right. So I noticed that there was even a site that got released where agents can now hire humans when they get stuck.
Yeah, I saw something like a Fiverr for agents.
Yeah, exactly. And yet I have said too that I've said too the best interface is no interface, and clearly agents shouldn't communicate in pure English. That's inefficient. And they shouldn't need to go to a website to just talk to one another. That's inefficient. Those are interfaces that are human-centric. They're anthropomorphic, and we need to imagine really what that future Internet of Agents is going to look like. Are there certain user interfaces that are private to humans, certain that are exclusive to how agents collaborate, and in certain places where both worlds meet?
So user interfaces came from a need because the first operating systems was purely command line, and you were able to do a lot of things with command line. But not all humans can remember the commands and write code and do this and that. Like, you needed to make a friendly user interface so that you commoditize the access to computer software. Now, agents do not need that because they can learn the command line and they can learn code and they can learn many things. Maybe we are going to an agent interface that is not even a command line. Maybe it will be a lower level. Maybe it will be a hybrid approach. But we are certainly moving toward something new that will pop at some point because, it's not efficient for agents to communicate like we do. So they need some specific interface for them to work more efficiently. Now, we need to keep it human readable, human inspectable, because otherwise it will be like complete black box and very it can be dangerous for humans to delegate tasks, and the agents can do their stuff without even being able to see what's happening inside.
So I thought it was interesting that the maker of OpenClaw said that in the context of locally running agents having their own device, MCP was kind of silly, he thought. He's like, CLI is way better. Command line is still, I think there's going to be another revolution happening when we get AI models that are really affordable and really good and smart that can run locally and are excellent at full computer control, meaning keyboard and mouse. And I have to say that is just going to change the world even more than this release now. Because to me, this is the end of anything, any plan online that's unlimited. That just the death of unlimited plans, because agents can use and abuse anything that is unlimited. Because the unlimited plans and the economy behind it is really designed for humans, not for robots. Right?
Yeah, that's interesting. And you mentioned affordable models. I would say even like open source models that can run locally, they do not even need to be as good as the paid model. I think for a certain time, paid models will still have like an advantage. But since they can run 24 hours, they do not need to be as good because they can take their time to solve tasks. And then what will be needed here is a way to evaluate these tasks and make sure that they are doing their job and like enhance them over time, because we can do incremental improvements. Since the model is free and can run 24 hours a day, you can have a model that is just dedicated to creating skills and making them good. And then you have your orchestrator or working agent that can use these skills to do the job.
You are dropping clues here. You're dropping clues here. Now, we're going to talk more about this. Keep watching, because on this call, we're going to reveal something secret that we have been working on and that we're ready to talk about today. So bear with me. It is going to be really exciting. But just thinking about the kind of plans that are like unlimited. I have been a user of a certain vendor online that provides API access for video and AI models for many different model providers, all in one house. Okay, and I understood that they had partnerships with certain companies, and they offered these APIs at certain prices, which were competitively priced. And then somebody messaged me on Discord and said, well, you need to check out this other website. They also have an API. They also support that model, but the cost is 70% less. And I think to myself, well, there's no way. There's no way. Google is not going to sell their API services to a little nobody company that nobody has heard of. That's what I meant. At 70% discount, but then not extend that discount to their big tier partners that I was using. There's no way. So immediately my mind goes and reverse engineers and was like, okay, I see what's going on. Somebody signed up for the Google Ultra plan that has unlimited video generation, made 20 accounts or so, and automates every request that comes in through their API through some clickety-clack, right? And they get the videos at a lower price because their costs is the unlimited ultra plans, and they're reselling it at a 70% discount. Now, when these agents can control their own devices and browsers and act and interact with sites like a human, that kills the unlimited economy. You will not be able to have ChatGPT, for example. One of the things that happened this week already, I saw people were banned or terminated from their Claude plans because instead of paying for Opus 4.5 over the API, they decided that it was cheaper to use a $200 Claude Max plan and have OpenClaw hijack their human plan made for humans, which had way more usage limits. And this is just a beginning of a change in the internet. It is very, very interesting. I I can see how that becomes a serious change in the economy of the internet. But let's talk a little bit about the architecture of OpenClaw. You already mentioned that ChatGPT, it kind of changed the world. There was a before and an after. But ChatGPT, from a technical point of view, did not release new models or new pure AI capabilities. What really changed?
So what's really changed with ChatGPT is the way we interact with models. The models was there. It was the first time that you can talk to an LLM and the LLM answers. And then, as I said, the tool came later. But the idea of having this new interface to use a technology, I heard someone saying, like, it's the first time in history, in technology history, where you have a technology that can teach you itself how to use it. Like, you don't need the documentation. If you want to know how to use ChatGPT, you ask ChatGPT, tell me how to write better prompts, and it will just explain to you how to make better prompts. So it was, even though the chat itself is not something new, but a chat interface between a human and an AI or an LLM is very new. Like, it was a revolution. Now, fast forward, OpenClaw, again, it does not invent the fact that we can talk to an AI over a chat interface, WhatsApp or Telegram or the web chat, or it does not invent a way for AI to run tools. It does not invent a technology, but it provides, again, a new interface where humans can hire AI or can delegate to AI a task and just let it figure it out with minimal instructions.
So what we're witnessing is a new level of abstraction. We went from humans talking to AI to get commands, to humans telling agents to do stuff, to humans telling an agent who's telling agents to do stuff. And not only that, since Moltbook, the social network, they're now collaborating, you now have agents talking to other agents who manage agents who do stuff. So the abstraction level, the pyramid of abstraction has massively evolved. And I often compare all of this to a superorganism, right? You have skin cells and foot cells and hand cells and eye cells in your body, all kind of cells, but they decide to work together to create an organism, a superorganism called a human. And each individual cell may seem insignificant, but it has a basic unit of intelligence. It has a copy of the DNA. That is the information that makes like our hardware. It defines our hardware. It doesn't define our lived experience, but it certainly is a magnificent thing, the human cell. But still, a human cell will never colonize Mars. A human cell will never do that. But a superorganism that is a human being, well, they won't do it either. But what about a village? Won't do it either. What about a city? Maybe in a very, very, very long time, a city might. A country, maybe. But a civilization, a humanity civilization, that for sure, with enough bright minds working towards that. And this is what we're witnessing in AI right now. We went from a single cell organism, an LLM that you can call over an API, to an entire complex organism, agent orchestrating sub-agents and networking with one another and creating superstructures and collaborating and networking. And what we're seeing is the birth of a new civilization, a new superorganism, humanity with agents. It's more than humanity plus agents, because the agents work with humans and benefit from humans, and humans benefit from agents, and they work together. And that is a very, very fundamental paradigm shift that we're witnessing.
I love the analogy that you mentioned, because it also refers to something that I like a lot about our universe and the laws that make it work and so forth. And it's like the concept of emergence. You mentioned the cell, the organisms, humans, civilization, and so forth. So we don't need something to be very intelligent or very smart to achieve huge tasks. You just need multiple organisms or multiple units that are smart enough to do simple tasks, but together they will like from all these units will emerge something more intelligent. And I think this is what's happening in AI. And it was like we saw this emergence, but today maybe we are pushing it further, because like you said, it becomes like human AI collaboration. And maybe we will see a new kind of, human AI collective intelligence that will push humanity further in science and technologies, and from whom will emerge like maybe a super brain of humanity.
Yeah, and let's bring it back to OpenClaw. We went all the way philosophically into the future and the big picture thinking. Let's bring it back for our audience. I want to talk about what actually makes OpenClaw work. What's inside the box? First of all, you've got an LLM, which they didn't make. You bring your own LLM, right? And the LLM acts as the orchestrator through tool calling. And then what OpenClaw did is they gave it a heartbeat. And the heartbeat is like a process where the agent calls itself and remembers to keep working and stay alive. Then it has some capacity to have some task planning. So every time it calls itself, it knows what it's supposed to do. And it knows when to keep trying and when to drop off and try something else. It's this heartbeat that allows it to be proactive. The heartbeat here is truly the new thing. The heartbeat is the new thing. Because the experience with ChatGPT was the human has the heartbeat and initiates the conversation, gets the response. But the heartbeat, now that the agent system has the heartbeat, it prompts itself. It listens, it observes, it takes action autonomously. And I think that is like the fundamental first pillar of what OpenClaw did different. The paradigm shift that is now going to go into every software out there. Think of HubSpot. HubSpot is a customer management system, relationship management system. You enter your customer data, their emails, etc. It's all sitting there. And in a way, it acts a lot like a database, a repository of information that humans can enter data in and then click a button and do something with that data. I think that era of software is over. I think OpenClaw changed the world. Here's what's going to change. I think we will have an expectation that if you pay for HubSpot, in itself, HubSpot gets a heartbeat and proactively tries to help your company. It proactively tries to correct data errors. It proactively tries to make marketing campaigns. It proactively tries to write emails. It proactively analyzes the customers and the chances of closing. And this is truly something like we have not had before. It's always like been there as a tool for us to bring our heartbeats to. But what OpenClaw has changed in the world is that it brought a heartbeat to software.
Yeah, this is interesting. This is interesting because I think this is what many big companies was trying to do for a while. If I remember correctly, Amazon was trying to do something like this. They when you visit Amazon, I think there was an experiment or a lab where they identify based on your navigation what you would like to buy, and they put it on your on your so that shopping cart, so you don't have to do it yourself, and like they are reasoning, analyzing your behavior and choosing the items for you. But like what you said is maybe now this will become an expectation for any reputable company, maybe because humans are becoming lazy because of AI, and they want AI to think and do the obvious things for them. Certainly, the more complex tasks will still be done by humans, but we are becoming, our expectations are becoming higher because we know AI can do lots of things. And we know that some tasks are really boring. Like I have no added value of doing this task. Why it just not work? So this will be an interesting era where we see probably new ways of approaching these products and services.
That is true. So and we have the heartbeat, and the heartbeat, I mean, it's certainly not the first time this has happened, but this is happening now on a large scale. And it is understood now that our relationship with AI will never be the same. Instead of us prompting it for a response, we will start expecting it to proactively take action for us. But here lies the second chapter of what's different. And this is something I've already talked about for a long time. The concept of your personal AI assistant. You can go and look back at my conference talks. They're on my website. You can go and see them. I have now for years talked about the concept of a personal AI assistant. A personal AI, I have the privilege to work with some incredible chief of staffs, executive assistants, and some incredible people. If you're watching this video, you know who you are, and I appreciate all of our time together. And I really value these people because the virtual assistant, executive assistant, chief of staff, when they work with you for a while and they are intelligent, they become truly like an extension of yourself. It's hard to express how valuable such a person is. It's almost like the chief of staff should be as capable as the executive they're serving, or like right below it, maybe even more capable than everybody else in the company. It should be like the most intelligent person in the company that you could possibly hope for, because what they end up doing, what makes them very useful, is it's based on trust, but it's also based on access. As a business owner and a multiple times founder, I've worked with many people. And some people I work with in a marketing context, some with an engineering context, sometimes in a sales context, sometimes in a design context. And they all have little slices of me. But the executive assistant gets to see all of the context. And I believe context is key. OpenClaw is a lot like a virtual assistant who knows everything about you. And to the extent that you give it access, it gets smarter and better and more valuable. And here is what they did. You would have to be insane to give it access to all your data right now. But by saying, you know what? So what? Let's do it anyway. It unlocked something that other large established companies could not do. OpenClaw could have not come from Microsoft or Google or Adobe. It could only have come from an open source project with somebody who, quite frankly, can say, so what? It's open source. Take it at your own risk. Do whatever. This could have not come from the big companies. And without this level of access to the internet, access to a full system, maybe even root access, maybe access to health data or email data or other data, the experience would have not been the same.
Yeah, I agree. And if we believe in conspiracy theory, we would say like these companies pushed OpenClaw because now, now that it's possible, let's show the world what we can do. So the next day would be very exciting.
So there are two companies in the world that are best positioned to do the access portion with a heartbeat. And that is Google and Apple. Billions of Android devices, Gmail users, Google search users, YouTube users have a full 360-degree picture of your calendar, your email, all of that. And then Apple has the other part of the computers in your pocket that become part of your life that are everywhere. Runner-ups are Microsoft and Amazon. I have considered this personally. I think, like, why would I give my data to OpenAI when Google has already been trusted with my data for 15 years and they haven't abused it in a way that I have been affected? They've not leaked my data. They've not sold my data in a way that upset me, that I would stop using them. I know many people don't like Google, and I respect that. It's not the argument I'm trying to make here. But every single time I trust all my data with yet one more provider, I double the risk of one of these leaking my data. So why would I trust anyone except for those companies who already have my data with my data?
Yeah, that makes sense. Like it's a way to reduce the attack surface, so to speak. I think that Meta also are good position here. Probably not the same kind of data, but they have Meta have the relationship data. You with your friends in the social network, how you interact, and who you are calling and so forth. So I think they are also well positioned. But I agree that Google and Apple are very well positioned, especially that Apple seems to be pushing the possibility of running local models. All their new hardware is going this direction. So the idea would be you no more need these online models. You run them locally. And we've seen many very good open source model coming in the market and running in these devices. So I completely agree with this.
Yeah, a year ago, I was telling everybody buy Google stock because DeepMind is going to end the year with incredible AI, and obviously, like, Google stock exploded. We've all seen that, and now I'm telling friends, don't underestimate Apple, because their Mac Studios and Mac Minis are becoming the most popular consumer hardware for inference. And I think that with NVIDIA RTX 6000 cards going for 10,000, a piece, and you need 10 of those to run Kimi K 2.5. Okay, maybe you can get away with 6 or 7, right? But like, they're going to kill me for that one. But who wants to spend $60,000, $70,000, and who can even afford that? Whereas a Mac Studio, 2 Mac Studios can run a terabyte-sized model, and that's the fact they run the M3 chip from 2 years ago, and there's an M5 around the corner, which comes out later this year. So Apple has hardware, and Apple has email and calendar and iPhone data and so much information, has built a reputation around trust and privacy in a way that no other company has. And I think they're in an excellent way established for it. The one thing that kind of stops me from like investing more in them is that all this time when people were saying Apple doesn't have AI models, Apple falls behind, Apple needs to buy from Google, from OpenAI, etc. Throughout this entire time, I'm like looking at Apple stock to go down. It's just refusing to go down.
Yeah, and the fun fact, like what's interesting here is also that Apple and Google are collaborating together, and the next model, the next Siri, I think, will be powered by Gemini, which is interesting also.
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense because I think OpenAI as a company likes its walled garden around GPT. We've seen that with its plugin ecosystem and GPT ecosystem. They went from open to closed really quickly with that. The first generation was open. The second was more the App Store model. But then the partnership with Johnny Ive, the fact that they are going to introduce hardware devices that interact with ChatGPT. OpenAI is trying to be the next Apple. It's trying to come for lifestyle. And I think it's really telling when you compare Anthropic to ChatGPT experience. And ChatGPT is going to have a record and voice button. Anthropic just has a submit button. That tells you everything you need to know about the companies. Anthropic just cares about making the best model they can. OpenAI cares about building the best user experience around their model they can and push it to as many wide use cases. I want to bring it back to OpenClaw. The first thing that changed was the heartbeat. That is something that you can't really put back. The second thing is the access to data. This is the part that makes OpenClaw dangerous. If you don't give it access to data, you can run it completely safely. And for example, you can have an OpenClaw that does competitive research for you and creates a report. It has access to the internet and the web and its own device. And so what? The worst thing that can happen is you lose an API key, which you can burn and make a new one. Like, that's not a security risk, right? The security risk is giving it access to your data and then it leaking. So this is where I think Google and Apple have like a really strong position. But if it's not one of those two companies, and I don't really know, honestly, I like OpenAI. I like their products. I like what they build. But I don't know how I feel about giving OpenAI access to all my Google Drive and all of that stuff. I haven't done it. I've not used OpenAI's browser with my Google credentials. They would like to suck up all my data very much. I don't trust it with access to Google Drive or MCP connectors into company stuff. I just don't do it. Either it would have to be, for me, it would have to be a company that I trust, and the companies I've trusted for a long time, or it has to be open source and local on my own hardware where it doesn't leak my system at all.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I remember when GPT 3.5 came and then the API people were working with APIs. You said something. You said that AI will be commoditized in few years. Like everyone will have his local AI on his computer or even smartphone. And I think this is where we are going, because the security problem that you mentioned, even if you trust Apple, you cannot trust every intermediate until your data reaches Apple, or you can, like, data leaks are always possible, even if the company does its best to protect it. And we've seen it several times. Now, until now, the leaks that we've seen is emails, logins, sometimes passwords. It's very serious, but still not all the data. Now, imagine a company like Apple or Google has a leak like this after the AI era. It may contain very private information that can put you in very complicated situation that you cannot even solve, because when you lose your logins and password, like, it's very painful to protect everything again and like restore your data and so forth. But imagine,
it's like losing your credit card. It's a pain, or your driver license.
Yeah, but you can, like, you solve it. It takes time. It's annoying, and you solve it. But imagine now that you lose some information that becomes available in the wild and put you in danger, or like put you in not good situation with your employee or with your family or things like that. This is not something you can solve. And this is where it becomes very, very dangerous, where AI can access data and potentially leak it. And this is where commoditized AI, like you said, with open source models, will be, I think, the way to go with this kind of operation.
I think there are going to be certain people. They're not going to be the kind of people that have a lot to lose. Not the executives, not the people of great fame and reputation and great money, but young people or brilliant people who haven't gotten lucky in life and say, screw this. What's the worst that can happen? I don't have secrets from my wife. She knows what a terrible person I am. I don't care what people think of me. They can read my email. If they don't like it, they can, there's such a group of people out there. And this group of people, ironically, with least to lose, is going to be able to take advantage of this stuff the most.
Yeah. But you know what? There is also another category of people who already have a bad reputation and doing very bad things. Just imagine what AI can become in their hands, because these people are already bad, and they know they are bad. They do not care. I'm fine with someone who is brilliant, young, like you said, but life didn't give him his chance, but he uses AI. He signed a pact with devil and like use it to make good things later and have a good life. That's fine. But I can imagine what this can become if you put it between the wrong hands, and there will be people using it, right? So
there will be people using it. And I saw a few really interesting use cases. I don't know, maybe you can point some out, what you've seen people tinker with. I'll start, and then you mentioned one that you maybe caught your attention. Somebody linked it to their Whoop and Apple Watch health data and connected it to their diet and health information to give real-time insights proactively based on sensory data on how to improve health. It's like a live coach that just watches you. I thought that was really cool. Me in particular, I'm lucky that I don't have to see a doctor very often. I am fortunate in that way so far, but who knows what the future brings. This is no reason to brag. But if my data leaked, nobody people would say like clean bill of health, so maybe I can afford to risk my health data because I don't really care if it leaks. There's nothing in there. I don't take medications or anything. So I thought that was a cool application. And I was like, yeah, I would love to have I would say like a physician look over my biometrics and data. That would be quite cool, I think. But your turn. What have you seen that's quite cool?
So I saw something related to security. It can be very good and very bad at the same time. I saw an example of a guy who tried to give OpenClaw all the security scan tools and so forth, and give it access to CVE database and tell it, go in the wild and find all the websites where you can find vulnerabilities and so forth, and make a report so I can get bounties and get paid for revealing the things.
I want a variation on that one. I would like an OpenClaw agent that is a white hat pen tester for my company. And he has access to the internet and every tool, a full root system, and it can try to get on my network, it try to hack. And if it gets in, it produces a report on how it got in and how we should patch. And
there were an interesting research paper by Anthropic regarding this few months ago, I think, where Anthropic were used to do some pen tests, I think, and it was quite interesting to see how good it is to find the vulnerabilities.
Then I send my agent to attend every talk in Las Vegas for the Black Hat Hacking DEF CON conferences, and it learns from all the best, and it just tries everything, and that would be fascinating. A white hat pen test 24/7 tries to find vulnerabilities every day. It's looking for ways in, and if it's a good boy, we give it some more tokens. All right, security, great, love it. All right, the next one that I saw that I think is really cool. Okay, so the Pebble 2, the Pebble Watch was a Kickstarter phenomenon that predates the iWatch. Pebble made a new one. They're going to ship this year with an e-ink display, a month-long battery life, but a fully open source software stack with API support and programmable buttons and all of that stuff, which means I want to set up a system with a Pebble Watch, the new one, where I push a button, speak into the microphone, and it sends a command to my digital twin OpenClaw agent that just goes to work for me. Hey, make a reservation. Hey, do that. And it goes off and it goes to work in the background on its own. That is something I really look for. And yes, I did pre-order one. Hopefully they're good. All right. Anything else you saw interesting?
I have a blockage in this. I can't talk to machines. I have a hard time. I don't know why. I just can't.
Really?
Yeah, I have a problem. I can't.
Okay. Have you ever had like a teddy bear that you or growing up, or a towel or something that you had as a kid that you were attached to? No.
No. I was not this kind of kid. No.
That's the issue.
Yeah. Maybe.
I still have Mr. Brown with me, my teddy bear. And my kids have Mr. Banky, and it's, I have a vivid imagination. But yeah, what I do is, like, when I talk to AI, I picture some little cute animal or some avatar. I talk to the thing I picture. Okay, moving on. There's a lot of cool ideas. People are having it make total dashboards and sending it to home screens, like home calendars and things like that. Many ideas. So we talked about the heartbeat. We talked about access to data. We talked about exciting opportunities. And we promised you earlier in this call we would talk about something else that we have been working on. And and just as a quick primer, it works with a heartbeat, access to data, but underneath the hood, it inherits everything else that already exists. It inherits LLMs. It inherits an agent.md standard that describes what your agent does. And it also inherits a skill MD standard that describes how an agent can use different skills to get stuff done. And I'm not sure if they're the first one to add this, but they also added a soul.md. I think this gives it more personality than just functionality. But that may be something new. Probably the soul MD could have just been part of the agents MD, but it sounds nice. My OpenClaw agent has a soul file, not to be confused with the human soul, of course, but it's what they called it. Now, since those elements already existed before, we need to just talk a moment specifically about one of the big bottlenecks, and that is skills. Skills MD standard is a really beautiful standard, I think. Right? Describe the directory folder to the audience for a moment.
Yeah, so the skill.md, and I think it's evolved over time, because initially it was the skill.md, or like describing the skills, but then Anthropic came with a standard where you have a structure. The skill MD tells the agent how to use a skill. It can be just the skill MD, so just describing a process, but it can also host some information, like you have an assets folder. So your skill can have assets, and it can also have references. The references are additional context, additional data you want to give to your skill, and scripts. Scripts are executables that the agent can use. Now, when Anthropic came with this standard, I think, if I remember correctly, the only programming language that were supported was Python, but the concept was already there. Like in Anthropic, you were able to use skills with the Python script. The Python script was executed in a sandbox, and then the model gets the results. Now with OpenClaw, they pushed this further because they use the same concept, but scripts can contain any executable. It can be an OJS file, it can be Python, it can be an executable, and there is no more sandbox. Like, has access to everything, and this is what unlocks the capabilities of agents.
So, a skill MD file is a markdown file. It's essentially a text file with some styling, right? And the mechanics are that whenever the LLM decides, is called with a heartbeat, the LLM looks at it, what it should do next. It decides, it reasons, and then the LLM looks at the available skills and decides which skill to use to achieve its objective. It can use one skill, two skills, one skill 5 times, in any combination. And then when it says, oh, I need that skill, let's say use the browser or send an email, those can be skills. It will look in this text file, this skills MD file, for a description of how to go about sending an email or how to go about using a browser. And it could be any million ways that you could get something done. All roads lead to Rome, but not all skills lead to successful outcomes. And now there is a problem. The first problem: the quality of your model, the more expensive the model, oftentimes dictates how good your agent will be at interpreting the instructions in your text file that describe the process. Which means that many people are getting very expensive bills with Anthropic because they are offering one of the best models at this moment. And they're looking for other models that are maybe good enough, but cost quite a bit less. And then at the very bottom of the ladder, we all are poor. We're all GPU poor or I say GPU memory poor. The tiny model we can afford to run on our measly hardware is probably one of the worst for interpreting such text files and coming to a successful outcome. And so we have a problem. We have a problem in the way that OpenClaw works. Because I want to protect my data. I don't want to send it off to third-party API vendors. I want to run it locally on my own hardware, on my local LLM. But the problem is the local LLMs are often not smart enough to reliably execute these text files and interpret it. And it works well enough for simple tasks and skills, but complex skills, it struggles, and you need to pay for the API or get banned by Anthropic for abusing your human plan.
Yeah, so I saw something funny. Someone posted on Twitter. I asked Claw I don't remember exactly what it asked it to create, but it created something very amazing, and it started sending him messages. I don't remember if it was managing his calendar or emails. And he said, "Oh, cool! Now OpenClaw can manage my emails, but it costs me $200 a day." And this is like the cost. Maybe 2 days or 3 days would cover a virtual assistant who will do this just fine. So yeah, we need a solution for that for sure. Yeah.
And actually, I think there is a solution already in the skills MD standard. There is a subfolder for scripts and code. And so nothing stops you from just writing plain code and telling your skill, go and run this code, right? But there are other considerations when you're building skills. And let's do a major spoiler. We have created something that solves this skill problem. And it's called Moltron AI. Moltron.ai. It's open source. You can download it right now, and you can use it to upgrade your agents. Any agent system that uses Skills MD, you can use it with it, whether it is from Google or OpenAI or Anthropic, or OpenClaw. And what does it do? Well, the first problem it solves is it tries to go beyond text instructions to memorialize skills. If it can be solved with code, it will write code. If it can be solved with a series of APIs together, it will use that. If it can be solved with a cheaper LLM, it will use the cheaper LLM, even in one step, and then another step, a better LLM, according to the models you have available. It will intelligently build itself for cost efficiency. That means that maybe you use the big brain to figure out how to send an email one time, and then afterwards, your local LLM for free can send those emails, right? What other benefits does that approach have, Alaa-Eddine?
So, one of the benefits that this have is that Moltron AI not only build your skills, but it maintain a scoring about how good they were to solve the task that they were built for. So over time, it keeps checking these scores, and if the skill requires improvement, or if you need it to be improved, if you can ask explicitly the skill to improve itself, or if you ask another question and the host model decide that it needs to upgrade the skill, it will upgrade it. It will store a version. It will store the old version, create a new version, and maintain scoring for different versions of the same skill. So over time, it will always self-evaluate and compare with previous versions. If a new version works not as good as previous ones, it can roll back or it can propose to improve it. The tools can also, these skills are completely observable with OpenTelemetry. So every time you run, Alexander, you want to say something here?
Yeah, you're spilling all the beans at once. I was still at like the benefits of this kind of structure, but you touched on something really important. One of the superheroes in the cartoon universe is the Wolverine, and his superpower is you can beat him up and he will heal really quick. Right? Now, the thing is, when an agent fails, a skill fails, it has to try again and again, and all of that costs you tokens. And eventually, it can maybe find a new description that says this is the new approach. But the next time it runs that skill, it has to reinterpret that and hopefully execute it in the same way. We think that skills should be managed the way that humans manage each other in team meetings and companies. And we give them scorecards and we track their performance over time. So the way that works is we implemented OpenTelemetry, logging data, performance data on speed, success of execution, and gather all of that together with the agent skill data to understand which skill is working better, which skill is working worse. And this here unlocks an exceptionally important capability. The capability of self-improvement. Self-improvement requires self-reflection. And today, OpenClaw is missing self-reflection. We've created it. We've added it. So when you go to Moltron AI and you install it, it will teach your agents to create skills that are reproducible and are accountable for their performance. You can measure how good they are. And if your agent has a heartbeat, it can now on its own decide two very important things. You ask it for something new, and it's going to say, I either have a skill or I don't. If it doesn't have a skill, it will build it with Moltron. If it already has a skill, it will try it, measure it. If it is not working well, it's going to self-improve. So next time it runs, it's benefiting from that experience. And this is a form of continuous evolution and continual learning that we have never seen before in the market on the skill level. And with Moltron's release, we are introducing that. There's a few other things in there, Alaa-Eddine. Talk about Git and how we're using that.
Yeah. So when we build every skill, again, we are not reinventing the wheel, but every skill has its own local Git repo. And this is how we track versions. So a skill basically is a project that Moltron will create and will use to maintain the capability. So it's not just something generated and forgotten. It has like a structure. It generates documentation. It generates architecture diagram so that next time Moltron comes back to upgrade a skill, it has all this information already available. So it doesn't need to reverse engineer the code, try to understand it, and so forth. It has everything there. It uses this to improve the skill, test it, and once it's working, it will commit and tag a new version so that we can track, as Alexander mentioned, we can track somehow the performance of every version that we add. This means that you know the average score of every version, but you can also go back in time if something goes wrong with new versions. And this is new in OpenClaw, and other tools that use skill.md.
Yeah. And if it happens to if it happens to break down somehow, like and completely fail, it can just say, hey, you know what? My last version had a higher score. Let me go back and try again. Or 3 versions ago, I had more success with this. Let me go look at what that code was and see if I can restore part of this and start from there again. This sounds really simple, but it makes your agents much more resilient. So there's another benefit to this. And that is, if you have an agent that works really well, you accumulate skills. Let's say you want another agent to inherit that capability. What would you do?
You transfer the skills.
How?
Copy paste.
Copy paste. And so let's say you set up a second OpenClaw agent, right? You would simply install Moltron, copy paste your skills in the skill folder, and you have instantly taught your new agent. You taught it Kung Fu and everything else.
Yeah, and this is, I want to spoil here something like this. We wanted to release this as soon as possible, but we are cooking things. And the idea is that you will not even need to do the copy pasting yourself in future versions. We will do it for you. Right? Moltron will be able to transfer skills to another agent.
We're not going to talk about the future today, Alaa-Eddine. We're going to just talk about today. How easy it is to just transfer skills. And by the way, Moltron can be configured with instructions to share knowledge with other workers as well. And so that's great. So let's talk about the benefits of Moltron and how it makes skills more secure. What is under the hood of Moltron? What is Moltron leveraging, and what are some of the unique features of that system that benefit security?
So Moltron will use SmythOS, which is our open source agent building SDK. It's under MIT license, and it has some concepts with like zero trust security concepts, ACL access to data. So every agent or skill that is built by Moltron will use this SDK as a core, which means that the skill that is built already has some kind of isolation. It has restricted access to data. It only has access to the data that you build it for. And if you have multiple skills, they cannot see each other's data. So there is you minimize the leakage between multiple skills. Another benefit is that SmythOS already supports multiple connectors to different LLMs, storage systems, vector DBs, everything needed to build extremely powerful skills or agents. Because we're talking about a skill, but a skill can be a sub-agent. A skill can be a sub-agent that solves a task, or a sub-agent that can interact with OpenClaw. In one of my experiments, OpenClaw needed, and this is funny, maybe we can talk about it, Alexander. When we built Moltron, I asked OpenClaw, you have Moltron, the skill builder, check its documentation and tell me what you would like to have as a skill. The first thing that OpenClaw told me is, you're muted.
Let's pause right here. Audience, before Alaa-Eddine answers this, I want you to guess. When Moltron was given the opportunity, when OpenClaw was given the opportunity with Moltron as its engine, so to speak, to create its own skill. Like you say, what is the next skill you want to make? Anything you want out of the box. What do you think OpenClaw tries to make? What do you think OpenClaw believed it needed? Are we going to count down from 5? Give you time to think, and then Alaa-Eddine will reveal what happened. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go ahead, Alaa-Eddine. What did it build?
Yeah. So OpenClaw told me, I want a second brain. And because it saw the capabilities of Moltron and what it can build, so it required a second brain. This answer already surprised me, but it was like, I kind of like can expect something like OpenClaw to request a second brain so that it can store data in and use RAG and stuff like that. Then I asked it to build it. I said, go ahead, build it. It took his time, build it, and so forth. And I was working on other stuff. And then I said, okay, let me look at this, what this second brain looked like. I was expecting that OpenClaw will build a script that can give it access to a RAG. This is my expectation. Insert, upsert, search, this kind of thing. But OpenClaw built a conversational agent. It's built a chat agent that has RAG capability. So when
and not just that, it had the ability to also forget, and it learned how to forget data it no longer needed on its own.
Yeah. So this is fascinating because the concept of a second brain for OpenClaw was like an internal conversation. Another agent that it can talk to and share its memories and information so that it can be stored in the second place. I know that OpenClaw already has a concept of memory, but this was really fascinating approach of building this. So yeah, it's a very, very funny experience. And by the way, I wiped my OpenClaw, installed a fresh, I made a fresh install, and I asked again the question. And the next time I asked the question, it was not exactly the same answer, but very close answer. It said, I need something like an internal knowledge base or something like this. So OpenClaw always tries to augment its capability of remembering and processing information.
So that's fascinating. We now have the capability to give OpenClaw and other agents the evolutionary capability of skills. And the way it's going to work and do that is if you tell it in the agent's MD file you are an accountant and you often ask it accounting questions, it is going to develop a repertoire of accounting skills, which you can transfer and reuse. If you ask it to be a great social media person or marketing director, it is going to self-evolve those skills and teach it by itself. It's going to keep evolving and keep making itself better and better at the job. And it's going, since it has a heartbeat, it can do that independently, even when you're not asking it to. So for all of us who have big imaginations, you can get started today and imagine a self-evolving, ever more capable employee with skills that you own that are fully transferable to other agents and to clones or copies of itself. This is a competitive differentiator. The quality of your internal processes are yours and are very valuable. And so to install it, you just have to go to Moltron AI, which has a link to the install command as well as the GitHub page. If you like it, support the open source projects that have made this possible. OpenClaw, SmythOS, OpenTelemetry, and Git. And then, of course, thank you for everyone for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this announcement and you have as much fun with this new paradigm as we certainly have and will have in the future. Alaa-Eddine, any last words?
Go ahead and show us what you will build with Moltron.
Yeah, show us what you'll build. I look forward to talk to you. I am Alexander de Ritter. You can find me on X and LinkedIn. And you also see here Alaa-Eddine, which I know has a LinkedIn profile. And do you have an X profile too?
It's not very active.
Not very active. Yeah. Okay, contact him on LinkedIn. That's my message. All right. Have a good day, all. Thank you for watching and enjoy. Bye.